Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ritu Verma and I'm a own biology facilitator. In previous video, we have started with Unit 1 classification and we have completed all the characteristics of living organisms. So in this video, we are going to start with concept and use of classification system. Okay, so let's begin. In previous video itself, we have discussed actually what is classification and what is its importance. So classification is actually a process of categorizing different living organisms into different groups based on their similar features and characteristics. And what are the importance of classification? The first importance is it actually helps us in studying about such a large group of organisms. Then it helps us in understanding the interrelationship between different organisms. For example, there are two organisms and they both belong to two different species or two different groups, so there might be some similarities or some differences between them. Okay, so in order to understand the similarities and differences between those two organisms, classification is important. Then the last importance of classification is it provides evolutionary relationship between the organisms. Now, what is the meaning of evolutionary relationship here? The meaning of evolutionary relation is it actually helps us in understanding that these two particular organisms, whether they belong to a common ancestor or different ancestor. Okay. Now, in old time, when different scientists were actually trying to study about classification, when they were actually trying to classify different living organisms into different groups, so they have used different methods. Okay, so there are different methods of classification. So the first most important method of classification was the very basic one was study of morphological features of different living organisms. So morphology is nothing but it's the study of external features or body parts. Now just look at this particular diagram of a dog and a cat, a very basic animals which all of you have seen in your day-to-day life, isn't it? So if you look at these two animals, look at this picture, they both have four limbs, the front limbs and hind limbs. Then they both have tail, they both have external ears, they both have two eyes, nose, mouth, isn't it? And then a very important characteristic which you can see is they both have body hairs. Okay, they both have body hairs present all over the body. So these two are actually, one is dog, one is cat, they both belong to two different species. Okay, but if you will look at these particular external features, they are all similar to each other. So they both belong to one particular class called mammals, or before mammals you can just say they both belong to one particular group called animals. Okay, and then under animals they both belong to a particular class called mammals. Apart from this, very important characteristic about these two is, which we all have seen in our daily life, they both suckle young ones from their mammary glands. I mean, the puppies or the kittens. So they both, dog and cat, they suckle their young ones with the help of their mammary glands, the female ones. Okay. So what scientists have done based on the external features, based on the external body parts, they have kept organisms into one particular group. So those organisms who has shared similar features or similar external body features, they were kept in the same group. The second method of classification used was anatomy. So anatomy means study of internal body parts after dissection of the body. Okay, so once for example the organism was dead, so what they have done, they have dissected the entire body of that organism and they have studied about different organs, systems present inside the body. Now just look at this picture, these two pictures here. Okay, I'm just taking the example of digestive system. So if the first picture represents the digestive system of cat and the picture on the right side represents the digestive system of a dog. If you look at this digestive system, just in broad view, so they both have esophagus, they both have stomach, they both have large intestine, small intestine, rectum. Okay, rectum, they both have gallbladder, they both have liver. Fine. So if you look here, the digestive system of cat as well as the digestive system of dog is showing similarities to each other, isn't it? That means these two organisms, based on their anatomical features also, they were kept in the same group. Okay, they were placed under the same class called mammals. So use of this both morphology and anatomy is, the most traditional method of classification of organisms. Later on, when technologies were improved, when new microscopes were developed, then new tools and technologies were improved in the laboratories, another very important and the most accurate method of classification was evolved, and that was based on using DNA or protein based sequences. Now, what is DNA? DNA is actually D-ribonucleic acid, and it is present as a genetic material in all the living organisms except some viruses. And those viruses have RNA, that is ribonucleic acid. Okay, you have studied in your lower classes in cells chapter that inside cell we have nucleus, and inside nucleus we all have DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. Now this DNA acts as a genetic material, and it helps in inheritance of characters or features from one generation to the next generation, or you can say inheritance of characters or features from parents to their offspring. Okay, so if you look into this particular diagram, DNA is actually a double helix. It's a double helical structure, and more about DNA in detail you will learn in unit 4, biomolecules. Fine. So this DNA is actually having 4 nitrogenous bases. Now they are called nitrogenous bases because each of this base is having nitrogen. Fine. Each of this base is having what? They have nitrogen in it. So 4 nitrogenous bases are A, which is called adenine, then G, guanine, C, cytosine, and T, thymine. So these 4 are the nitrogenous bases present in DNA. When I said about you, when I said to you guys about RNA, that is ribonucleic acid. So in RNA, this 4th nitrogenous base, that is thymine, is actually replaced with uracil, and uracil is represented by capital U. So what these scientists have done, they have actually, compared the sequence of these nitrogenous bases present in the DNA of 2 different organisms, and these 2 different organisms, they belong to 2 different species. Okay, so what they have done, they have taken 2 different organisms which belong to 2 different species, and then they have compared the sequence of these nitrogenous bases present in the DNA samples of these 2 different organisms. Now, for example, if the sequence of these nitrogenous bases has shown similarities, okay, not little amount of similarities, if it has shown very much high amount of similarities, if it has shown more amount of similarities, then that means those 2 different organisms which belong to 2 different species comes from the most recent common ancestors. Their ancestors were the common ones, and they were the most recent ones. Okay, they come from most recent common ancestors. And just by chance, for example, the sequence of these nitrogenous bases in the DNA samples of 2 different organisms of 2 different species were not similar enough. Okay, were not much similar to each other. So that means their ancestors were not common. Okay, they come from different ancestors. Now, the next topic is taxonomy. Taxonomy is actually a branch of biology which deals with the classification system, or which deals with, classifying living organisms into different groups and also providing them with 2 names, that is scientific names. Okay, and one of the most important contributions in the field of taxonomy was done by the scientist known as Carolus Linnaeus. He was actually a botanist from Sweden, and what he did, he has divided all the living organisms present on Earth just in 2 kingdoms, that is kingdom Animalia and kingdom Plantae. Later on, when new scientists came and they have done studies about these kingdoms and all, so somehow because of many reasons, this particular classification of organisms into 2 kingdoms was not accepted. But still his contribution was important because he has introduced the system of binomial nomenclature. That's why he is known as father of taxonomy. Okay, the meaning of term binomial is bi means 2 and nomial means providing 2 names. providing names. Okay, so whenever we write scientific name of any organism, fine. So the scientific name of any organism is consist of two parts. The first part is known as genus and the second part is known as species. Okay, look at the picture given on the right side of the screen. It shows prehistoric man, and the scientific name of human beings is Homo sapiens. Okay, so the first word Homo, it represents genus, and the second word species, sapiens, sorry, it represents species. Okay, so the complete name is Homo sapiens, and it's made up of first part genus and second part species. Okay, Homo sapiens. You have to be very careful while writing the scientific name of any organism in your notebook. Okay, so what you have to do is you can write in your normal handwriting, and then you have to underline both genus and species, and you have to underline them separately. One single common line cannot be used to underline both genus and species. That will be considered as wrong. Or if you don't want to write it in your normal handwriting, then you can write it in italics. Okay, so whenever you will read any scientific name of any organism printed in the book or newspaper or anywhere, you'll find that it's always printed in italics. Okay, just look at the next slide. For example, here they have given a picture of mango. Okay, so the common name of this particular fruit is mango in English, but English is not the only language which is used globally. Okay, there are n number of different languages people speak around the globe. For example, in Hindi it is called in French it is called mongi, and then in just in Punjabi, or like in Greek or German language, the fruit is called by different name. So when scientists read about a particular organism or fruit or plant, anything, okay, so they should not get confused with these common names used in different languages. So it was very important to give all the organisms one particular scientific name, and that particular organism is known by this scientific name around the globe. So just to avoid confusion while studying about the general features or characteristics of these organisms, it was very important to provide them with binomial name. Okay, it was very important to provide them with the scientific name. Now look here, the scientific name of mango fruit is Mangifera indica. Okay, now if you look at the right side, Mangifera indica, the first line represents Mangifera indica. For Mangifera is genus and indica is species. So this Mangifera should always start with capital letter. Genus is always capitalized. It always starts with capital letter. And indica, that is species, always starts with small letter. Okay. So this is a correct way of writing, because you're writing it in a normal handwriting, plus you have to underline it separately. Okay. Second is Mangifera indica. Here also it is like, genus is capitalized. Species is again with small letter. It's not underlined, but it's fine because it's written in italics. Third one is Mangifera indica. It's underlined. It is wrong. There are two reasons. Because first, it's underlined by using one common line for both genus and species. And second, species should always start with small letter. But here it is starting with capital letter. So it's wrong. And the last one is also wrong because it's written in normal handwriting or normal, text. But it should be underlined. It's not underlined. If you don't want to underline, then make sure that you're writing scientific name of any organism in italics. Okay. So these are the rules which are followed while writing scientific name of any organism. Go back to the previous slide. Now you should know what is the definition of species. So species is actually a group of organisms that can reproduce to produce fertile offsprings. So all the organisms present in a particular species, they share common characteristics and they mate with each other, or they reproduce to always produce fertile offsprings. Fine. The members of species or many species, they join or they combine together to form a larger group called genus, and then different genus they combine together again to form a larger group called order, class or family, and then it goes to like phylum and kingdom. So this entire sequence which I said just now is known as hierarchy of classification. This is also one of the very important contribution given by Carolus Linnaeus in taxonomy. Okay, so he also gave hierarchy of classification. So if you look here, the broadest hierarchy is kingdom. Okay, the broadest group is kingdom, phylum, class, and then go down to order, family, genus, and species. So the top ones are like, they're very general and they contain many organisms. To your surprise, there are billions, trillions, many organisms present on this earth. Okay, but all these organisms are divided only into 5 kingdoms, just 5 kingdoms. Okay, so they're divided only into 5 kingdoms. So just by, like listening to 5 kingdoms, you can understand that kingdom is a very large group and it includes many organisms. It contains many organisms. So this kingdom, phylum, class, they contain many organisms. But as we go down in this hierarchy of classification, you can see, like family, genus, species, they are very specific and they contain very less number of organisms, and these organisms are highly closely related to each other. Closely related to each other, the meaning is they contain they share very common features. Okay, they share very closely related organisms. They share very many common features with each other. Fine. Just look at this example. It's a hierarchy of classification is given for human beings. Human beings, they belong to kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, class Mammalia, then order Primate, family Hominidae, then genus Homo, species Sapiens, and the common name is human. Fine. So that's it for this particular topic. In next video, we'll start with the third topic of this unit, classification, that is features of organisms. Take care till then. Bye-bye.